দেখেন ওখানে একটা কলের মতো আসছে, বাট ক্লিক দিলে
Ja, okay, verstehe schon. Also wir sind eh gebildet, oder? Sind wir gebildet? Nicht.
Okay, hello to everybody. Depending on your given time zone, I say good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. A warm welcome to the next course of our development operation talks. As some of you maybe join us for the very first time, I recall the purpose, the general purpose of this development cooperation talks, and also give some comment on the format of this meeting, of this event. So what is the purpose? The general purpose is to make us as SOS co-workers more aware about the fact that SOS Children's Villages is one of the important players in the field of development cooperation. The format of this meeting is one aspect to regularly invite you as SOS co-workers to meet and discuss relevant issues, relevant topics with regard to development cooperation. We also invite stakeholders in the field of development cooperation to share and discuss their experiences, their insights with us. Sometimes we invite experts or stakeholders from the external world under quotation marks, and sometimes, and so this time we invite some experts from the entire SOS world. And this time, today, we are happy that Egosa from Nigeria, the national director from Nigeria, is joining us and will share his experiences, his insights to development cooperation with us, and further on we can discuss what he is going to tell us. I hand over to Walter Anyanyo, who is introducing Egosha and the issue of this afternoon. And when I say afternoon, I refer to the Austrian summertime. Okay?
Thank you. You're welcome, friends. You're welcome, colleagues, from wherever you are. Virtually, we are connected from the Hermann Weiner Academy in Innsbruck and to wherever you are. So welcome. Also welcome to our colleagues here in the room with us who will contribute to making the discussions lively and sweet. And for some harvesters whom we have seen also online, Irene is also here doing a great job. So you are welcome. As Christian said, development cooperation talks here in the Hermann Weiner Academy has been going on for some years. And last time, that was sometime in May, we had a talk. David Katzlinger from IPD here, the IO office in Innsbruck, and Stefan von der Svavloon, head of international program and IPD from the Netherlands, gave us a talk. And in the process of their talk, they mentioned that SOS work in the present time is impossible without cooperation. So cooperation with fund givers, for cooperation with other NGOs, cooperation with the international community, cooperation with the communities wherever we find ourselves. So they mentioned the project which SOS Nigeria has done very successfully and very profitably. And they praised that project that it is a benchmarking event or program. So we took it up and consulted the National Director of Nigeria, Mr. Egosa, to ask him if he can kindly present to us this special project being talked about. How did it come about? What is it all about? And what can we learn from it? And fortunately for us, he accepted. So today we say, welcome to you, Egosa, all the way from Nigeria. Egosa has been 8 years with SOS Nigeria, and since 4 years, national director. And we tried to ask him, what is the greatest inspiring experience he has gained since he started working with SOS, moreover, since he became the national director. And he said that just the ability to work with young people and contribute to their growth, just the ability and the privilege to work with children and contribute to their development is for him very, very inspiring. And we think it fits to what we have today. Investment in social and economic change in child well-being in Nigeria. An FSP project. That is what he has to present. And we say, Egosa, highly welcome, and we invite you to please begin with your presentations. But we have 2 comments to make. Please, dear colleagues, wherever you are, try to mute your microphone. Kindly mute your microphones. Secondly, we are recording. For some of our colleagues who might want to visit back after today, or those who are not here with us today who might want also to gain this knowledge with us. So don't be offended, we are recording, and afterwards it will be posted both at the intranet and also at the new working workspace. Thank you so much. Fine. So afterwards, if you have questions, feel free to write down your questions on the message box. We will read out your questions and the Egosa will pick them up. So Egosa, you're welcome. The floor is now open to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Walter. First of all, I would like to also thank Christian and Irene for inviting me to present our experience with the SOS Federation and stakeholders. I would like to, first of all, expose the name of this project to those of us who are participating in these discussions. The name of the project is Together for Change. And like Walter already said, the presentation title is Investing in Social and Economic Change for the Well-Being of our people, especially children, young people, as well as community stakeholders. At this point, I think we need to move so we can quickly get into the main areas of focus and target for these discussions. The main area of focus or target were basically 4 areas. One of them bordered on economic empowerment, which has to do with people having the earning capacities to be able to maximize economic and employment opportunities within their communities, so as to be able to respond to the needs of their children and keep a stable family tie. The other one has to do with access to basic social services, because these services are enablers for children, young people, and families to be able to access and make quality decisions in terms of their own needs, as it were. So access to basic social services was also a focus for this project. The third one borders on child protection in terms of what is the importance and the role of children, families, and communities in making sure that children are protected from all sorts of rights violations. So this was a very critical aspect. As we delve into this discourse, we'll see why we said it was very, very important. And above all, building capacity of community. Community capacity building was very, very central as a focus for us during this project implementation. So we'll move, and that will take us to what concretely did we really do in the course of this project. Of course, like I said, under education, we're able to roll out education support, such as enrolling children back to school, increasing the rate of enrollment, and also supporting school supplies for children, as well as ensuring that we also take into account our policy as an organization, which borders on inclusion policy. So all these we were able to galvanize so as to be able to ensure that more children and young people have access to quality education, because we all know the importance of education in driving development. Of course, we also focus on infrastructural improvement for community schools, because we observed that some of the schools in the communities were actually dilapidated and they needed to be revived. And together with stakeholders, we were able to go around it and catalyze them to be able to see the need to improve on this infrastructure with little or no support at some different instances. One other critical component that we dealt with in the area of education was the child social and financial education in community schools, because we realized that it is important for children to begin to learn how to save and manage resources, and both financial and non-financial resources. So it was a very big opportunity for us to support the schools and other stakeholders to, come out with a very concrete and steps to inculcate this habit in young people. On economic area, we initiated the formation of village savings and loan associations for different groups, farmers, people who deal on wares, marketers, people who sell stuff and all that, as well as also community-run micro credit scheme, whereby the key implementation partners were supported in terms of capacity and other related areas to be able to run a microcredit scheme for the benefit of families who are in need of economic empowerment. We also launched technical and vocational and education training, which also is referred to as TVET scheme, for business startups and expansion, as well as facilitating the establishment of community-run social businesses. On the area of health, during the period of implementing this program, we, together with all the partners, we renovated and equipped primary healthcare centers in the communities. We also introduced what we call revolving drug scheme, whereby drugs were revolved over time to be able to ensure that the sustainability of drug availability is guaranteed. A motivated, improved relationship between health workers and community members were also dealt with, and this actually increased clinic attendance. More people were now able to access these health facilities as a result of improved relationship with health workers and the people in the community. Of course, as you know, advocacy is very, very, very important in driving all these rights protection, other rights-related issues. So in each of these communities, we establish Community Child Protection Committee in all program locations. And there was also linkage of this community Child Protection Committee to the State Protection Network to galvanize and build stronger coalition. In terms of targets, so we still need to move. In terms of targets, our target primarily were children, caregivers, young adults, and other community members that were in the respective communities. In terms of numbers, the original program target was 3,722, and in the end, we were able to reach over 4,600 children and young adults, with 1,140 caregivers. And to interest you to know that the caregivers who we reached in this program, significant number of them were female, which also for us was a very, very a good experience. Then at the same time, we also reached over 20,000 other community members through various community-based approach, like the WASH program, other community intervention, family planning, and so on and so forth. So we can now move to the kind of cooperation we got in this whole project in terms of partnership. From a broader perspective, we had international partners, and these were actually consortium of International Child Support, which is ICS, who was actually the lead agency, including SOS Kinderdopen, which is SOS Children's Villages, Holland, Netherlands. On the local scale, we had partnership with organizations like Linking the Youth of Nigeria through Exchange, National Directorate of Employment, as well as other community-based organizations, because the idea primarily was to build a broad-based partnership so that synergies can be built together to be able to respond to the various needs of this target audience, while also promoting active participation so we can move. In this, most of the partners brought in different, bring in so many things to the table according to their area of expertise. Technical linkages, even the community themselves were able to provide some resources, because we strongly believe that in development work there is hidden resources in every community, so we need to be able to tap into that. In terms of who actually initiated this project was initiated by, from the onset, by the community, by the donor, because a given frame of results were expected. However, the community participation and cooperation were able to galvanize the hidden resources to be able to tap into what they already have and take ownership. And in the process of this, a community planning forum was held to be able to really identify the needs of these various communities. And it was really, really participatory. So in that form, we saw the need for engagement, engaging community and other stakeholders to be able to respond to a self-need that will contribute in the long term to the needs of children who we are to and young people we have targeted for this intervention. In terms of the financing, the processes of generation, scope of finance, and financing procedure, the frame was actually a 5-year funding frame, totaling over 616 million naira, which is about 3 billion plus euro, at a budget exchange rate of 200 naira to 1 euro as at then. Interestingly, these funds were based on some modalities in terms of how we are to use them. They were actually earmarked funds with some clear regulations in terms of the financing procedures. So we can move to the next aspect, where we will deal with the most basic project component, which I think is very, very important for this discussion. Like I said earlier, the target actually was to improve was to ensure improvement in socio-economic situation of family and young people in the community. And it's your
Egosa, 1 second, please. Please, friends, can you mute? Please, those who are not presenting, can you mute, please? Kindly mute, please. Please, kindly mute.
Thank you very much. The theoretical framework or approach we use for these interventions lies on two basic approaches. One of them was civic-driven change and social. The other one was social business. What the civic-driven change actually emphasized was power relations in terms of social inclusion, co-creation, organizing, and making sure that the people themselves are involved in the change process. They initiate the change process, and they make sure that they drive the change process so as to be able to bring about the change they desire in the long run. And for us to be able to making sure that the sustainability and the social value is also maintained, the social business concept was also introduced so as to ensure that the social return on the investment is also seen as part of the change that we are looking at for. So these two approaches actually were the pillars for this intervention, because the people actually were the drivers of their change. SOS in this case was just a facilitator. We were able to act as a catalyst. Why the people were driving their own change themselves, using the social business thinking to making sure that the social return on investment is able to address the social problems that was actually endemic in the community, as it were. So these two concepts, much as it is very, very laudable, it also has some challenges. Challenges in the sense that you do not determine the pace at which you bring about results. The people determine this pace, and most times it is very frustrating, and it requires a lot of time. And we'll have time to really talk about this if at the end of this we still have time to leverage on discuss some of these key areas that I'm really interested in sharing with you. Through surveys, we are able to measure the success and impact of this project using external evaluators or external consultants. This also led us to the fact that the exit of SOS from this program and the sustainability in itself was well designed from the inception of the program. And the committee entry process, like I said, was very, very challenging, because we needed to enter the committee in the right way, building a solid foundation so that this program in the end will be sustainable. And this really, really took a long time, like I said earlier on. Local ideas were very, very instrumental to making this project sustainable. In development, we should always remember that a solution that is meant to change people should come from them. And with this, they also have ideas, some ideas of how these initiatives are to be carried out. All we need to do is to tweak them and support them, act as a catalyst so that they can drive the change themselves. And also, where there are need for capacity improvement of other partners, we were also able to intervene by way of strengthening systems and building capacity in terms of training and other related support. The cultural and intercultural aspects that also influenced this program were enormous. Remember, in Nigeria, we have 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. Please, can we mute our... Please, can we mute? Hello. Hello. Hello.
Yeah. Jetzt geht's. Sag's nochmal.
Please, if you're not presenting, kindly mute, please. Thank you.
As you know.
Okay.
Thank you, Walter.
Yeah.
As you know, we have over 170 million people in Nigeria with different cultural setups. So at some point, misconceptions by some program participants were also some of the things we needed to deal with, as well as the multi-ethnicity and cultural and religious sentiment. In fact, in community entry, we needed to deal with a broad-based issues. Broad-based issues such as ethnicity, religious difference, gender issues, as well as tradition. So it wasn't, an easy process, but because of the approach, we needed to do this so that we can stabilize and put in place a strong foundation that the program we run on. And this was very, very important in the midst of all these challenges. And the good thing is that the northern part and the southwestern part where we implemented this program had two different contexts. So one solution or one approach of community entry didn't work. So we had to look at what is working, what the context is all about, and how to make things work according to each context. So it was also very, very important that to organize the people. And thank God that we had a very strong team who were resilient. And that is a very, very important thing in network and working in a very terrain environment. On the part of lessons learned, communities themselves are capable of driving the design of the community. All they need is just to be a springboard, a catalyst. Characteristics of the civic-driven change is co-creation, making sure that the community are leading the process. So if they are able to galvanize on this, it will be very easy for the process to be sustainable in the long run. So it's also important for us to understand that community development is intensive. Sometimes we are donor-driven. But if we really want on sustainability. Factor.
Egosa, we can't hear you anymore.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, now please can you repeat what you said before? I think we didn't hear that.
I said, in terms of lessons learned, community stakeholders are also capable of driving their own change because they know the problem. They know how best to bring about the change. Once this change is being driven by them, the possibility of sustainability of this change is higher than when this change is being given to them without their participation. So in terms of sustainability in itself, it is not magic bullet. It's a gradual and intensive process. Time. Because there are so many factors that are external factors. All we can do is to drive this change. And once we are able to do that, and this is one of the elements of the civic driven change, because the people.
Please kindly mute if you're not presenting. Please, please. There is much noise in the background from. Please, please.
When a community is taking the lead in issues that relate to child protection and they are now well informed, the incidents of child abuse are most likely to reduce because the community are now empowered. They know the consequences of child abuse and they want to preserve the future by making sure that those future leaders who are now children, their rights are being protected and their development are being enhanced so that they can. So, this point is also important for, if there is still time, I would like to on some elements of the CDC, like I said. Some of the critical elements of the CDC is to participate in a process of identifying and recognizing their own problems and conceptualizing, developing and executing potential solutions. Another strong element that we should take home is organizing. Organize themselves, formally or informally. Make sure the relevant people actively participate. Mike?
Hello? Please, we ask again to please mute and kindly mute. Thank you. Yeah, so I guess I'll try to round up, please.
Another aspect of the element of civic driven change is that change takes place in different levels. It could be at the individual level, the family level, and the community level. But even nationally and internationally, for so many different issues, even as an organization, change takes place. The role of outsider experts are available to tap into. So the communities, we always see experts to support them and guide them on how best to bring about those things that they want to see. In this case, SOS plays that role. Rather than leading the process, they are experts of advisors, not to drive the process. So in that case, we are also assisting people in their co-creation. Yes, I would like to stop here because of time, and where there is a need for me to have enough time to touch on those critical issues that are left out, I would like to come back to you on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Egusa. Thank you, colleagues, for listening. Please, if you have questions, you write your question in the question box. We select them and forward to Egusa. If you have comments to make, also kindly drop your comments. And as we go along, Egusa, also, if there are other areas that are important to you which you would like to highlight or expatiate more on, you can also take the floor and do that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay. The areas I would like to emphasize on basically have to do with partners in terms of what do they bring in technically. In the case of this program, we saw ability and hidden potentials in communities where we implemented our programs. We saw a situation whereby materials were made available. For example, the communities where we work, majority of this community brought out their land for interventions, program interventions that would benefit the entire community and children in particular. And we also saw the need that social businesses are a source of earning members and funding source for community children endowment fund. So they need to plan for the future. We need to social businesses that they can leverage on rather than waiting for donors or government to respond to their immediate needs. So they are able to begin to start doing something. And this is very encouraging when you see people making efforts. We were able to get out from those from these programs. So attitude, we saw improvements in knowledge of child's rights among children and parents and community themselves. There was a wide also self-medications were also now patronizing the health centers because of the intervention, whereby the relationship between the health centers and the people were now improved upon. They saw themselves as being there for each other to support and live a healthy life.
Thank you so much. I would like to ask you a question, Egusa. You mentioned of child abuse and also mentioned about the multi-ethnic nature of Nigeria. You worked in the north and in the south, I think.
Yeah.
You mentioned, what are the specific child abuse cases which the project tackled, and how different are they according to the regions in Nigeria?
Okay, thank you very much, Walter. For example, in the part, young girls are not seen to go to school, so it's more like they prefer to give them out for marriage. So we needed to change that mindset. Unlike in the south, or rather in the southwestern part, what we saw was quite different. Parents were using their children to do hawking, like trading on the street, and thereby preventing them from going to school. And they are preventing them from going to school, but using different reasons. One was economical. One was the fact that it was cultural, religious, so to speak. Unfortunately, it is not in any religion for underage girl child to be married to an adult until to be married to an adult. So in the real sense, it is all about dialogue and also making sure that you are able to reach those stakeholders who are influential in the community where we work. Unfortunately, one of the northern states where we work, the child rights law was not yet domesticated at that time. So it was really challenging because there was no enabling framework to be able to advocate for or reduce the incidence of this kind of abuse, unlike in the southern part where we are already in place. So they were really two different spectrums, so to speak.
Yeah, you also mentioned, talked about social businesses which were you in the project facilitated to get young people get accustomed to independence or lucrative activities for their future living. Can you mention one or two examples of such concrete social business ventures which the project achieved?
Okay. Some of the concrete, one of the concrete social business that in one of the community key implementation partner set up a milling factory where they were able to produce refined farm produce, package them for sales, and thereby they're making money, and they were able to make provision for friends endowment fund or solve some social problems and be able to run their own organization, so to speak. And the good thing is that these social businesses were also creating employment for the youth in the community.
Are you there?
Yes.
I didn't get what you said last, please.
And this actually reduced some social vices that were prevalent in those communities.
Mm-hmm.
I also would have a question. I'm Cornelis, also working in international office. Now these 5 years are over. Are you planning to do something similar also in the future? To do more social impact programs and projects?
Yes, thank you very much. As we speak, we have changed our model of operation in terms of development initiative. We have learned from the SSP MFS2 funded program, and we have seen that this approach is more sustainable, and we are taking this learning into our existing programs and new programs. So we are already using the same approach to making sure that our programs are sustainable, make impact, not just immediate impact, but also social impact as it were.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're including now the learnings you have the last 5 years in the normal work, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
It will also interest you to know that all our conventional FSPs are now using the MFS2 funded FSP model.
Yeah, makes sense.
Thank you, Cornelis. Any other question? Augusta, you mentioned, if I can ask a question, that money was released according to phases or in phases. Each phase that was concluded, money was released for the next phase. What were the milestones set in the process of this project? Can you let us know one or two of them?
The funding process was really challenging because when we started, the agreement was that according to utilization, the net strength will be transferred. Unfortunately, because of the situation we had from the beginning, we didn't utilize the target funds to be utilized just 1 year. So the subsidy was now reduced. And this actually, for us, we saw it as a motivation because we wanted to build a strong foundation. Although we cannot question the donor requirement. But these funds were actually transferred twice a year, half yearly, upon some deliverables. Without those deliverables, you cannot make requisition. You have to send your reports, you have to send the monitoring protocol, you have to send financial narrative, and so on and so forth. So there were set of agreed deliverables. And based on these deliverables, and based on your liquidity report, and our request for the second tranche, and where there is underspending, your net strength will be reduced as well. Hello?
If it is red.
Yeah, thank you so much. We're saying that, as we can see on the message box, a co-worker of yours also flashed in the information that one of the social business impacts is that a youth trained in photography finished up very, very well and is fighting his or her independent life somewhere outside the country today. So I think that's also a positive mark.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There is a question there. What was government involvement in this project? Can you elaborate a little bit on it specifically?
In some of these interventions that we implemented, we needed government cooperation. And if not for the fact that we are able to secure this cooperation, I'm sure that we wouldn't have been able to achieve what we said we have achieved. For example, a known fact that you cannot do any intervention in public schools without getting government consent. And we were able to share our idea with government, and the reason why we needed to work with them to improve the situation. And government was really, really supportive in this regard, even though the process of getting to this end result was really a long process. But in the end, it was fruitful, and government was able to contribute and also participate actively in some of our interventions or programs. So for me, I think it's only normal that if we want to implement sustainable program, we have to make sure we put all stakeholders, even though stakeholders might not end up playing active role, but we need to get their buy-in. We need to build synergy, because only through synergy we can make big results, big impact. So it's very, very important.
Thank you.
Because I have also a question. Christian is speaking. Two very basic questions. One refers to the headline. Could you explain the abbreviation MFS2? This would be interesting. And another question, also quite basic question. Your general approach was quite comprehensive, and by this quite complex. You were working on the field of education, on healthcare, on social business, and on advocacy. So each of these issues, each of these topics, very, very challenging and complex, and all together. So how did you manage it to get all in line in a kind of plan, or I don't know how to explain it. You will explain it. It seems to me very, very complex. How did you manage it?
Okay. First of all, I would like to say that what we saw on the field was the power of young people. Close to 100% of the team who worked on this project were all young people. And the energy that they exerted actually made everything work well. So the team was excellent. They were able to push themselves to achieve these results. So I give the ability to be able to surmount all these challenges to the team.
Okay, if I can ask a question, I want to make a you mentioned the amount the project consumed, over 3 million euros. That's a big money. How was this money lucrated?
Okay, like I said, this the word MFS2 is a Dutch word. It's I will not be able to pronounce that now, but it's the second funding stage in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Dutch government. So it was also a counterpart funding. The consortium also contributed to this funding creation. A certain percentage was provided by the consortium.
Did KDI play any role in the project execution or initiation, or any specific role?
Come again?
Did KDI play any specific role in this in the process of the whole project?
Yes, the Together for Change project was actually an institutional partnership framework. So the whole process passed through the international office, and approval was given. And this was actually anchored by David. Of course, I'm sure. I don't know if David is around for this. He's listening to this presentation. It was actually in part of that thing. At the IO.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we also have in the message box. I think it's also a colleague from Nigeria saying that the community where you guys are working in Jos, that's somewhere in the central east of Nigeria, cannot forget the contribution of SOS to the social development of the community in education, healthcare, education and healthcare. And then another one was person also brought in this question: child protection in Jos. The Community Child Protection Committee, we organize and are working in collaboration with UNICEF and the State Child Protection Committee in setting up child protection committees around the state. So indicating the whole resources that are involved in it. Thank you so much for all this information. They go a long way to throw great light into what EGOSA is presenting. Questions or comments?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. Just in support of what EGOSA has been saying, This is Mark from SOS Students Villages, Nigeria. I think for us, one of the most important aspects, like he said earlier, is the fact that the MFS2 program gave us the opportunity to work with the community in the areas of their greatest needs. And we were able to see how the community was able to also stand up to be able to tackle some of the social challenges that they are having. So for us, it wasn't like the classical development work where a proposal had been written and we come down to them and we say, these are the things we want to do with you, let's start working. But it was a process where we were able to sit down with them, have these discussions with them, and we saw them as contributing partners to the progress and the development, not just seeing them as program beneficiaries, but as partners and program participants. And I think for us, that was the most important aspect of this process, because issues around sustainability, issues around ownership at that stage was, quickly taken over by the community. And like Egosa presented, as we speak today, we still have most of the partners that we worked with still continuing on a lot of things that we started with them. And when we go back to those communities will still be running some of these processes, and the community structures that we have worked with them to put in place will still be going on strongly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you so much. That's a powerful one.
Mark, one question. Christian is calling again. Did the local community stakeholders already had former experiences with other partners in the same field of work, or was this approach the very first time?
I think I would say yes and no. Reason being that when we started the community entry, some of the partners were not willing to listen to us because they said they are used to NGOs coming and taking pictures. And after taking pictures, they never come back. So this actually made us invested more in terms of connecting with them and making sure that they trust and believe in us as an organization. And once we were able to do all that, they saw the difference. They have never had this kind of experience. It was just an experience that is one of a kind. So for us, we appreciated the time we spent building this relationship, and we want to maintain that kind of relationship with the community. Because once the community is able to trust you, there's every likelihood that that initiative or that program will be sustainable.
Okay, thank you so much. There is a question here. What are the measures that were taken to guarantee the effective participation of the children and youth, as Mark described? I think it would be nice to mention one or two really specific things that are that were undertaken.
Okay, like I said earlier on that we implemented the Child Education and Financial Program, and this program actually focused on young people, children, and they had youth club, children's club, where they meet and discuss. We also had opportunity to engage young people on child's rights and their responsibilities, because one of the issues we realized in Nigeria is that parents and community, we are also asking, we keep talking about child's rights. What about the responsibility of these children? So that was just a meeting point. where children know that yes, you have a right. In as much as you have a right, you also have a responsibility. Okay, and there were other platforms where children's participation were highly prioritized in terms of making decisions that will affect them. Children were also consulted. As a matter of fact, even before the program, the focus group discussion also focused on children to elicit their own view in order to finalize or present exactly the report of the planning in the planning phase of this intervention. So children and young people, they participated actively all through the process, and this was never negotiable. It was also explained to all stakeholders why we needed to get buy-in from every stakeholder in this intervention.
Thank you so much. While we still expect questions and also try to get out more material and more information from our colleagues in Nigeria, I throw another question, Egusa. As I said, during the last Development Cooperation talk here, Stefan, head of International Development IPD from Netherlands, said that the Nigerian colleagues are very fast in grasping the functional structure of civic-driven change and social business. So, from your own experience, what is it that made this fast grasping possible? What do you think made it possible?
I think, I mean, it's the fact that over 80% or if not 90% of the team who worked on this project have social development background, and they understand what happens within the context to live in Nigeria. So they were able to use all these as a springboard to better understand our people and know how to go about working with them in order for them to participate actively and take ownership. So for me, I think the ability and the capacity of the team was what actually played out. They had better understanding of the context, and they were prepared and they were motivated to making sure that the project succeeds. So it's all about what you believe in, and I strongly believe that they were really going out there to make a difference in the life of the people and the children in particular. So it's just as simple as that.
Okay. Also, hello. Let me quickly also add this to what Egusa has also said. I think within the context of the running this MFS2 program, one also very important critical aspect was the fact that a lot of focus was on the learning and experience sharing within this process. And I think one of the things that also helped in terms of us grasping the process of the CDC and also the social business was that within the time frame of this program, there were a lot of learning and experience sharing within and outside the country. We remember that even prior to this, we had experience sharing to places like Tanzania, where the concept of the civic-driven change and social business has been used by a lot of organizations there. So having seen this being done by some other organization outside in some other places, we were not looking at the CDC, that's the civic-driven change and social business, as an abstract concept. It wasn't much of an abstract concept, but it was a concept that we have seen work. So for us, we also came back with the resolve to make sure that those things that we have seen work in other places, we can also replicate them in country. And I think in addition to what Egusa said, that was also one critical factor for us being able to grasp this process fast enough and to be able to run with it.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. That's really very concrete. Thank you so much. Yeah, we also have some contributions from colleagues from Nigeria here. These are all wonderful information. Must not read all of them. I think everyone is seeing the message box. Here we have someone saying, I quite agree with Temi, working in the community requires commitment and accountability, as well as openness about processes so as to gain trust and ensure sustainability. And long-term projects or initiatives work better in communities when such backgrounds are established. I think these are wonderful contributions. And then also that Children's Parliament was set up at the community level to ensure participation. Success was also recorded in the aspect of clean and win projects. And VSLAs, I think these abbreviations have grown to become engines of economic growth and centers of prosperity, as well as platforms for mainstreaming other program activities like nutrition, child protection, parenting skills, SR, HR, and preventive health education.
That is the sexual reproductive health and rights.
Thank you so much. That's wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, and one also says I highly agree with the statement from Ayinde. In all aspects, we're able to live our values. Hence, SOS Children's Villages will never remain white elephants like other organizations that collapse on the way. Keep it up. That is great. Wonderful. Yeah, one other comment is that one of the secrets of our success, I think this must be coming from Nigeria, is I believe was strong leadership that was provided by the national director. Scudo, that's fine. Then there is a question. I think the question, what are the main, I guess I think this should be for you, what are the main findings of the education level in the program? What are the main?
Yeah, like I said earlier, before we started this program, we saw some gaps that we needed to fill in terms of in different areas. For example, we had challenges where children don't want to go to school. Not because they don't want to go to school, because the infrastructure is not conducive for them and teachers are not always available. And even when available, the capacity to engage and make children stay in class was not there. So we needed to deal with all these issues together with the community. So what we did actually was to see how we can use available resources in the community to address all these needs. In one of the schools in one of the southwest locations, children were not going to school because the schools were without no school infrastructure. Like there was no water, there was no deck. The roofs were leaking. The football field were taken over by young people who were dealing on drugs and all that. So we needed to find out how best together we can address this issue. And excellently well, the community and the school management were able to come up with a wonderful plan. And in the end, when these plans were implemented, the enrollment and attendance rates of pupils going to school increased significantly. I think, again, it is important that we listen to young people, young children. They have reasons why they don't do some certain things. And because we're able to find out, we are also able to use this as a reason to plan. So I think every schools or every location has its own main findings or challenges, as it were. but being able to address these challenges needs a collective engagement approach.
Thank you so much. There is another contribution, I think, also in line with the question asked. That's one of the key learning under the MFS 11 was the need for clear communication of program concept, outcome, and community stakeholders' involvement at community entry. This promotes community participation and ownership of the program, which in turn engenders sustainability. Thank you so much. School enrollment increased, school attendance improved, and learning environments became conducive for learning. As one of the results of the project. If I ask a question, Mark, you mentioned Kenya and Tanzania where other organizations practiced or are practicing this this method or this approach. Is SOS Tanzania or Kenya also involved in the project in any way?
For the MFS2, Nigeria, Ghana, and Kenya was actually the three countries that was part of it. And those three countries we talked about were also part of those learning, those teams that went to share the experience and the learning from those countries. And I think it's not only impacted on what we did in Nigeria, but also impacted on what SOS Kenya and also SOS Ghana did throughout the course of the program implementation.
Is SOS Ghana also so successful as Nigeria was or is in with her own?
I think, okay, I guess I'll go ahead, please. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mark. We cannot really measure whether SOS Ghana was successful. What we are presenting actually is about what we have done. So in terms of being successful, they might have been successful in a different way. But for us, we are, sharing our own best practices and how we are able to achieve our results. We also believe that if Ghana is given the opportunity, they can also share their experiences because we are not privy to their reports as we implemented this program.
Thank you. Here are comments or questions because we are gradually coming to rounding up. Is there any other important point you want to illustrate or chip in?
Okay, another thing I would also like to bring in is that at every given point of development cooperation like this, let's try as much as possible to involve the critical stakeholders from the beginning. Reason being that at some point we also had some difficulties with the monitoring protocol. This is a set of protocols that is used to monitor how well these programs are running in different areas. So we had some challenges there and we have learned from it. And I'm sure that it's also very important as we move into future programming. So always involve all relevant stakeholders, especially the MA, in developing these documents because the context can never be the same. Nigeria is different from Ghana. Ghana is different from Nigeria. Nigeria is different from Kenya. Kenya is different from Ghana. So once we are able to have these good cooperation from the beginning to really help to ensure that once we implement this program, we'll be able to implement it together and face all the necessary challenges and make all the necessary reviews as it's ongoing. So it's very, very key for us to put that at the back of our mind. Equal partnership is the key.
Yeah. We have seen that in the field of development cooperation, in the age of development cooperation, a lot can be achieved when all hands are on deck. So when through the process of participation, every individual, every community can be turned into an agent or agency for development. And no development happens in a vacuum. If you can allow me this question, since the Nigerian community is not a vacuum, is a collection of individuals and systems and mores and cultures. And we know that SOS coming out of her enclosure, moving into the outside world to perform a comprehensive or all-encompassing development work, that we, in one way or the other, must be confronted with the prevailing situations and conditions in the community. My question now is, were there elements or instances of times when corruption played a hindrance to the smooth flowing of the project?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, corruption is not an African thing. I think we have to be very open about that. It's a worldwide issue. We saw situations where families were faking documents so as to be admitted into the program. Also, families deliberately not wanting to cooperate or being seen as being self-reliant because they want to continue in the program. They don't want to admit that they are now able to live their life themselves. You know, everybody likes freebies. So we saw all this playing out. And some caregivers also remarried when they became comfortable in the program, gave birth, but were not willing to exit the program, as it would be expected that the new husband should begin to support the family. So we had different issues, and the good thing is that we use our tools that we had, our guidelines, and one of them that we always put at the front of every intervention is the anti-corruption guidelines. Much as it's also very effective within the organization, it's also a requirement for participating partners to sign before we start doing having anything to do with them. So this also helps as well. So corruption is there. How best to reduce it is what we were tasked. That was our major task, and we were able to identify some of them, and we were able to deal with them appropriately.
And from the international side, were there at times some too unnecessary pressures?
Yes. You know, it's I wouldn't say it's the fault of the TSA or the international office. It's something that we have agreed with the donor. So most times they really don't care about what is happening on ground. So the pressure is always there, and it's part of what actually made us stronger. So for us, it's part of the job. We appreciate it, and if we ask again, if we really want the pressure to come back, we'll say yes, because any development work without pressure is not may not be able to achieve its set goals as at when due. So that pressure is part of the work, and it's part of the cooperation. But also at times we need to listen to people and find out why some things happen.
Very great, very great. Any contribution there? Okay. Yeah, we can gradually be rounding up. I think it is close to impossibility to try to summarize what has been said. That would be an impossibility. I only hope our colleagues everywhere we are that we enjoyed this detailed and comprehensive and compact presentation by Igusa, the National Director of Nigeria, on a very successful development cooperation talk. SOS can only work in cooperation with other organizations, with other institutions, with governments, with families, with children, with youth, with individuals, with partners and friends. Only through partnership, only through collaboration can our success, our intentions be attained and be realized. And the aim of the Development Cooperation Talk we are doing is to fish out those areas where development is taking place in collaboration, in cooperation, and this is one good example of it. We say thank you so much for participating today. Thank you for being with us. For the next talk, we'll also send out information, and we'll be happy if you join us next time. What we have recorded will be, as we said, intranet and also new workspace will be published before the end of this week. So if you have interest to go through it again, to perhaps find one or two things that might be useful to you in your field of work. Thank you so much. And Igusa, any final word?
Hello.
Yeah, any final word from you?
Yes, I would like to thank the Amamina Academy and the team, most especially Christian, Irene, and Walter, as well as my colleague and other co-workers around the globe who participated in this presentation. It was really nice to have you in this interaction, and we hope that if you have any area where you need us to provide you with more information about this presentation, we'll both engage on one-on-one. Otherwise, you can also liaise with the academy for any such request. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And goodbye. Till next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.